Yo, 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 everybody. What's up, everyone? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. The second stream of the day. Had to get into it. Kate O'Neill, what's up, dude?
What's up, Tyler? How's it going?
Going good, going good. Everybody, if you don't know Cade is one of my best friends in this crypto space. I don't like him that much, but he is one of my best friends. And I was like, you know what? We were actually on a call earlier. We were just kind of chit chatting. We like to catch up and kind of strategize on things. And I was like, you know what? We have some kind of good talks about crypto a lot. And so I was like, I bet the people would want to see a little bit of this conversation live. So we threw on the live stream and here we are. If you guys don't know who Cade is another fellow YouTuber. You can feel free to go check out his link in the description down below at Cade O'Neill. Go subscribe. I think he's like 4,000 subscribers right now. Started only a couple months ago. So go check him out. Let him know what you think. But what I wanted to do today is we are going to jump on. We're going to go over the market. Obviously, in this morning stream, things were a little bit odd, right? We saw a little bit of movement from Solana, AI cryptos, but Bitcoin, ETH, and many of the other ones were not gaining much traction. And so what we wanted to do was like, see is okay, how have things changed since then? And so what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at what's going on in the market. We're going to kind of recap the day, and then Cade is going to give us some of his perspectives and opinions on everything recently. You guys know I've been quite critical of the whole Trump coin fiasco, debacle, whatever you want to call it, right? I just didn't particularly like it. I didn't think it was the best way for the president to introduce the world of crypto to his presidency. I didn't think it was a good idea, but I did, I get stuck in my own little echo chambers here and there. So I wanted a second opinion. And so with that in mind, everybody, welcome in, welcome in. I hope everybody's doing good. The game plan today is we are going to take a quick look and do a quick recap of the market first. Then we're going to talk to Cade and we're going to go over what's happening in the market, his thoughts and opinions. And then at the end of this stream, we're actually going to open it up for those of you who want to ask some questions, get some insights, opinions, and more. I'm going to shamelessly shill the school. I'm going to shamelessly shill my exchange link. We're going to do all that tonight, fellas. So with that said, let's get into it. So first and foremost, let's do a quick little overview of what's been going on in the market just to kind of catch up here. So look, this is what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and let's throw us on. Let me throw this presentation on. We'll go here. We'll go there. We'll go there. Boom. Okay. So kind of catching up on the market, what we can see here is that, yeah, a pretty red day. Interestingly enough, AI 16s and some of these other ones were up this morning, and now they're a little bit down. We're seeing pretty much red across the market with a few exceptions such as World, XDC, Hype, and a couple more. Now, if we go about to CoinMarketCap, you can see the top 10 is really where a lot of these losses are coming from. The top 10 is leading the charge downwards. Outside of obviously Solana, which is benefiting from the AI movement that we talked about earlier, the market's looking a little ugly today, right? Bitcoin down towards 103K, ETH somewhat flat around 2.2% down on the day, Doge down, Cardano down. So not a terrible day, right? We've seen much, much, much worse days here in the crypto market, but definitely a bit of a red day and just not performing so well. Now, if we actually head over to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we can see that things have somewhat calmed down a little bit. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up here. Things have somewhat calmed down a little bit, but I mean, it's still just absolute madness. It just does not make much sense, quite frankly, where we are. The fact that yesterday we saw this thing jump up to extreme greed is absolute insanity. But if you do actually head over to CoinMarketCap, it has it at a 66, which is okay. I mean, I think the fact that we're at a greed and extreme greed right now doesn't make a ton of sense in terms of where we are in the market. But what can you do? And so with all of that in mind, of course, what I wanted to do today was just kind of just go through a quick update and see what all is going on. We didn't really get much news throughout today. Obviously, we talked this morning about the fact that we did, didn't mean to kick Kate off there. This morning, we did see, we talked about the fact that we had a couple things coming from the White House yesterday. We saw Trump mentioning / highlighting that AI, the AI news, obviously, the $500 billion partnership. That obviously impacted crypto a ton, especially the AI agent space, AI 16s. We saw there was a couple more that started to do virtuals, did a little bit of movement today. As a result of that, obviously, a lot of those ones that are launched on Solana, they pumped Solana's price up a good bit this morning. We saw Radium's price pumping a good bit this morning. So the Solana ecosystem and the AI ecosystem did good this morning, but as a result of that news, but outside of that, not much else. We did see Ross Albright, I'm not sure how to say that one. We did see him get pardoned as well, which is kind of like a salute to the crypto industry to some degree. And then obviously yesterday we did see the SEC come out and say they were creating a crypto task force, and I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was a great step in the right direction. So outside of that, since yesterday, we've not really seen that much news. Not that much has realistically happened, and that is a lot of the reason as to why this market is down today. And so with that in mind, not a ton going on, just to kind of update you all there. And I do kind of want to shift it now that we have kind of gone over the market, over to UK and kind of just ask, like, what's going on, man? Like I've told them pretty consistently. I think what we've been seeing with the SEC has been a great step in the right direction, but I do think the Trump coin, Melania coin, Barron coin, butthole coin, fart coin, I think that whole little mania phase was a little bit ridiculous. So just kind of curious your thoughts on what's all been going on and, how things have been going.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of different perspectives in terms of how people are viewing or justifying whatever the heck is going on with the Trump coin and Melania coin specifically. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I kind of agree with you in the sense that, like, obviously, probably retail's last interaction with crypto that they remember is getting rugged by a whole bunch of celebrities who were shilling FTX. And now we're back with the president shilling his own meme coin. And obviously, crypto is permissionless. People can do whatever they want, a lot of that type of stuff. I just don't think it sends particularly the right message of, like, the pro crypto president, the pro crypto administration, all this stuff that's going on. When you have that person also making billions of dollars off a meme coin, which anybody who has half a brain in terms of, like, understanding how crypto works, like, you can see it's a low float coin. That's the reason it's moving so volatilely. Like 80% of it's locked. Like the tokenomics aren't good. Any meme coin that did this coming out of, like, pump.fun or whatever would immediately get sent to zero because, like, it's just bad. It's just bad fundamentals. And so, I do think it could be one of those things where, like, maybe there's a little bit of possibility that we don't see it like getting rugged or soft rugged or whatever you want to call it, just because if that were to happen, I think the crypto industry would almost, like, immediately turn on Trump. And I think that would be very, very difficult for him to, like, actually get anything he wants done while he's in office. So maybe we don't see it, but I don't know. I don't like the optics of it. I think regardless of what happens, there's going to be a lot of retail who potentially buys the top, loses a lot of money, and then they're going to be pissed off that they lost a whole bunch of money in crypto yet again. And, this time from the president. So I just don't like really anything that we're seeing there. We'll see how it unfolds. I know a lot of people are viewing it as, like, this is the great moment of onboarding the masses and stuff like that. And I mean, you guys might disagree with me, but getting rugged on a meme coin doesn't seem to be the way to onboard the masses. But who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I see it is, like, I don't know who thought this was a good idea, because now, as time has gone on, I've really looked back on it and I'm like, oh, it's even stupider. I don't know. It's kind of ironic, but I think it's even dumber of an idea, right? And the reason I say that is because they come out with such a good strategy, right? He gets inaugurated. They don't shill crypto. They don't do anything stupid. They keep it rather chill, rather simple. And then the next day they come out and say, hey, SEC, crypto task force, we're starting from the bottom. We're going to make sure the foundation's strong. We'll get the regulations going. Like, we're going to do, like, that is the right way to do this. You don't just inject crypto into the United States economy without a good idea, like a good foundation, right? And he said, like, we're going to start from the bottom and start from the foundation and work with the public and work with the cryptosphere. Like, they're doing all of the right things. So my thing is, who the hell thought before, because this is, they didn't just freestyle this. They had this planned. Who thought, okay, we'll do the right thing after you're inaugurated, but right before you're inaugurated, let's do something really stupid, which is, and is making the meme coin itself, like, the worst idea ever? I don't know. I don't particularly hate it. I just don't like it. But you got to think about the optics of it, like you mentioned, because you got to think Haley Welch, the hot tour girl. I hate even the fact that I'm mentioning this on the show right now. She just rugged everyone, and everyone heard about it. Like, that was huge news. People who have no idea what crypto is, they heard about her scamming her fans through a meme coin, and they associate meme coins with scams now. And then a few weeks later, the presidential elect, the presidential candidate, he comes out and creates a meme coin. It's not a good idea. Like, do you maybe, if you're gonna launch a meme coin, maybe the process is, okay, get the regulation in place, get it all laid out the right way, get the strategic reserve going, start from the top with the safe things, get people introduced to it, get it all, injected into society, into the ecosystem, the economy, get it injected, and then later on, for shits and giggles, launch a meme coin. Maybe. I still would call it stupid. But doing that as your introduction is so odd. It's just such an odd thing to do. And especially now you have people pissed because it drained liquidity from other ecosystems. So they're like, so you mean to tell me I vote for this guy and I lose my gains because he makes a meme coin that goes up billions of dollars for him to say the billions of dollars that it went up was just peanuts? So I kind of like, damn, like this is not a good idea. And again, as a crypto investor, the likelihood is 99.9% of people wanted Trump to win, right? Because Trump's presidential cabinet is what is best for crypto. That is just point blank, period. Getting the little rat weasel Gary Gensler out of there was the best thing that can happen to crypto. But like, that was weird of a thing to do. And I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. The only thing I can think about, like potentially, is like technically, the his coin was launched before he was president, so he launched it as a private citizen rather than as like a public servant. Maybe there's some sort of like laws around that. I'm not sure. Like I'm not up to speed enough with kind of how that all works to know for sure. That's that's potentially a thing. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is completely right. Like actually show some like value and actually show some like, forward progress for like the crypto community as a whole. And then you can take that progress and then go launch a meme coin and everybody will love you because you saved the crypto, or, you sparked crypto in the US or whatever, right? Like if you want to do that, great, whatever. Part of the thing that yeah, I mean, that's fair. I will admit this could all be me just coping because when the Trump coin was launched, I was driving back to where I live in the middle of the desert in New Mexico. So like, who knows? Maybe this is me just coping, and that's justified. Any of the haters can say that. I'm cool with that. But I think that I think the biggest thing is, yeah, I don't like the optics. I think, again, there is a world in which Trump just never sells any of his allocation and he does it basically just to have a low float to impact price movement. Sure, that's possible. Maybe it gets to the point where it's like Dogecoin, right? I mean, Dogecoin is volatile and it does move crazy amounts, but Dogecoin, even in like the depths of the bear market, I think it was still like above 10 billion like the entire time. So maybe Trump coin just turns into an institution of crypto meme coins. That's totally possible. I don't know. I have a little bit like, I just don't think that was the right way to like kick off crypto in the US.
Yeah.
But,
and I agree. But one thing that I hope people don't kind of get this wrong. I think like if Donald Trump does a very good job of being a president and injecting crypto into the United States, Trump coin might do very well. That's not the point. I'm not saying that Trump coin can't do well, that it can't make money, that it can't pump. Because if he announces someone just said it. I swear I thought right here. Like if he does this, Trump coin is going to send. It's just what's naturally going to happen, right? So I'm not saying that it can't make money. I'm just saying it was stupid. And so the thing about it is, I guess we just need to consider it. One of the other strifes that I have with it, just to kind of rant a little bit more because I'm down, is that it was an opportunity. I talk a lot about the lizard people here, and I do need to warn you guys. I got suspended from Twitter a little randomly today. That was a little weird. But anyway, I'm gonna keep talking about the lizard people. I'm just warning you. If they ban my YouTube, I'm gonna stop talking about it. Simple. We got to get the vids out. Anyway, I think that what happened, though, the problem that I have with this also is that what Trump did with the meme coin opened up the door of opportunity for a lot of the manipulation we see in this market to happen, right? Because manipulation relies on emotion. If you cannot manipulate someone, I mean, objectively, you can't manipulate someone who does not give a F, right? If somebody doesn't care one way or another, they don't get excited and they don't get fearful, they will not make any emotional trades, you can't manipulate them. What is there to manipulate? Manipulation isn't a manipulation of physical, it's a manipulation of the mental side of things, right? And whenever we look at this, one thing to consider and one thing to think about that kind of throws me off, think about all the crazy stuff that we saw from this market recently, right? Think about all the crazy stuff we saw from this market recently. And when we go out to something like Bitcoin and we go out to the 1 hour, look at this. What's nuts? Let me turn off the battle signals, which I'll tell you guys about later. Not much has really happened. we've not really gone anywhere. Yeah, we had some pumps and some dumps, but quite frankly, we are still in the same exact place that we entered into right after the election, right? In the same little range. And so for me, a part of the problem that I had with it as well, and we're going to move forward with this in a second here, is just that this opened the door for this. All the volatility that happened in the market was as a result of what happened with the meme coins. And that bothers me because the only people who won in this, realistically, 99% of the real gains, we're the lizard people, right? The people who benefit from your liquidations, the people who benefit from the people who panic sold right here and then panic shorted right here. The people who benefit from these choppy moments are not retail investors. These are the institutions who benefit right here. You think it's a coincidence that we didn't see BlackRock and all of these major players start really buying until now? It's no coincidence, right? And I say this all the time. And so, because of that, I guess just to kind of finish off this little segment, one of the problems I have with it as well is that we went through all this crazy shit over the last week, and crypto is in the same exact place that it was 1 week ago. And so, it's just a little bit frustrating. But with that in mind, kind of going forward with it to get your opinion as well, where do we go from here? My general thought process, right, is that the market is actually making me proud. And make me proud, it doesn't really matter, but it's just my thoughts, right? The market's making me proud. And the reason it's making me proud is that ever since we've seen his inauguration, it's actually stabilized and done pretty well. We've not really gone crazy high. We've not gone crazy low. A lot of people are closing down their 100x long trades, which I can show in a little while here, right? A lot of people are actually pulling back the volatility. They're pulling back the leverage. They're pulling back the interest. And we're going to a point of rationale, which I think is actually a very strong and mature response from this crypto market. But I'm curious, now that we are past the inauguration, how are you feeling about just where we are in crypto in general?
Yeah, so I mean, overall, I feel really, really good about where we're at, just kind of overall generally. One thing I will say, kind of before we move on too far past this, kind of tangentially related to the Trump coin, is I am seeing a couple of comments in here, not totally related to Trump directly, but I do very much agree. The winners of this is Solana. It's not Trump coin. It's not like the winners of this is Solana. Like, and even if you look at DeFi Llama, it is clear as day to see. I mean, there's a massive inflow of stable coins. There's a massive inflow of TVL. The volume, ridiculous. The trading fees, ridiculous. The revenue to Solana's chain, ridiculous. Like all of this has just been absolutely massive. And so the winners of this truly were Solana more than anything else. And so, that I do feel, pretty comfortable saying, and I do think is actually a good thing for crypto longer term, is because, that Solana has done fairly well. As far as the market overall, I do think like we're in a really good spot. Kind of like, I'll get questions. I think it's kind of natural that, Bitcoin's over 100K. People start to ask the question of, is the bull run over, right? And I just don't think that's the case, right? At least if prior cycles are to be believed, and kind of like what we were talking about before we decided to go on and do a live, we talked about, well, maybe it's different and how does it look different and all that type of stuff potentially. But assuming if we're using prior cycles as any sort of indicator, we're really not even close. I mean, the closest thing that we got as far as like leverage getting a little bit frothy was when we saw kind of like the end of November, beginning of December. Like leverage started to get a little bit heavy there, right? But that got flushed out pretty quickly. The market has consolidated above highs previous to that move up. So, we're seeing a lot of really interesting things going on there. So overall, I feel very happy and comfortable with where the market is at generally.
Yeah, and I agree. One thing that I told a lot of people this morning in our stream was that Solana just showed its potential, right? Because I mean, we got to think about it, right? Think about the fact that Solana has positioned itself, and I'm about to get on my Solana riding no seatbelt train here. Shout out to Jose Felix, by the way. Jose Felix is the biggest Solana bull I've ever seen in my whole life. But anyway, one thing that I said about Solana earlier today was that it showed its true colors today, because think about what happened. Solana, Trump launches Memecoin on Solana, which is something to think about. It's not that big a deal. Like, I don't particularly think it's like I think it was the obvious choice, right? Like, had
Yeah.
he done it on Sui or Base, I'm like, oh shit, like that's huge because they know about it.
Yeah.
Solana's the obvious choice for a meme coin, altcoin, something like that, right? If you want to launch a token. So there's something to think about there. The other thing that I want to think about is the fact that Solana's price itself has done well as a result of just meme coin wave doing well. But in addition to that, when the AI agent space popped off, even just morning, whenever we saw virtuals and AI 16s and some of these other ones growing, Solana grew as well. So I think people are starting to truly recognize the value of a utility coin for the very first time. Because
Mhm.
oftentimes it's so hard to actually see intrinsic value reflect in price. And what I mean by that is what happens a lot of times in crypto is you'll have a utility coin and something will happen, right? They'll get a partnership or just something along those lines. And we all say, oh, this is huge for this crypto. Like, this is good, this is big, this makes it more valuable. But oftentimes you can't see that reflected in its actual price. But in a moment like what we've seen recently, you see Solana builds its ecosystem, making its use case stronger because Solana's whole use case is providing the platform. That's all that matters. Companies like AI 16 and Virtuals and Render and Trump and whoever, they build their tokens on top of Solana. Their tokens do well. People need that token. They need Solana. When they get Solana, Solana's price goes up. This is one of the first times in history that you've truly been able to see in a period like this when the rest of the market's not doing much, like this morning, that a utility coin can benefit from the actual value that is growing intrinsically. And that is huge. And it goes to show people why when Solana was at $20 and $25, I was here telling people, listen, if this ecosystem survives, so will Solana. And the moment every Radium stayed, the moment Jupiter was getting prepared to launch, I'm like, listen, Solana is made by devs for devs. When devs go to build on Solana, it's gonna catch traction. And we saw it. So I think that's fantastic, and I completely agree. And I guess kind of forwarding over back to the rest of the market, yeah, I can't see it. I'm not super convinced that this is the end of the bull market. And one of the primary things that I particularly look at is just, well, I want to see something different, right? I want to see something different. Because whenever I look at the bull market, okay, what I'm looking for is a break of structure. I'm looking for something. I'm looking for something that tells me that the bull market is over. And what I ask people, especially as of recently, is okay, if this wasn't the end of the bull market, which was what we are seeing right now, but much longer, much worse, more volatility, less investors, and less clarity because we didn't know if Donald Trump was going to get elected. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen with interest rates. We didn't know anything. If this wasn't the end of the bull market, why would this be? And people's natural response is they say, well, because when we were in this, we knew there were catalysts approaching that could put us into a bull market. And I'm like, okay, I think that's a great argument. But let me ask you this. When we're in a situation like this, right? We're past the halving, we're past Trump's inauguration, we're past basically the only thing that is still left is a Bitcoin strategic reserve and ETFs for altcoins. But those are maybes. No one knows if those things are going to happen. I ask people all the time, what would it take for an asset class that is risk on to grow? And the normal response is an injection of liquidity, right? We need to see more money being put into the economy because if we see that, then obviously risk on assets will naturally grow. It's just what happens. Interest rates oftentimes go down, leading to risk on assets going up. And my question is, if we are aware that interest rates are going to very likely go down this year, why is this any different than this? How's it
Yeah.
any different? This is not as bad, not as volatile. We have more investors, more eyes, more excitement, and more money. But this is the end of the bull market and this wasn't?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's very much, yeah. I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. I don't know, like we haven't seen, at least again, comparing to what we've seen in the past, usually when we get towards the top, we see things depart from reality in some way, right? And we haven't really seen anything depart from reality. I mean, we've got all this other stuff coming in. I think, the thing that I have said on my channel a couple of different times is like the way I think we probably see a top maybe at 140 to 160. If some of this 2, 3, $400,000 stuff, I think that seems a little bit far fetched. I think that would have to be like full on strategic reserve, and then everybody's like, oh man, the US has a strategic reserve. Now China, okay, we're going to have a strategic reserve. Germany's going to have, just everybody just starts buying, and it almost becomes like a Bitcoin arms race. That to me is how we see like ridiculous price appreciation right now. Things look a little bit kind of like a little bit of a slower burn than what we've seen in the past, right? Because usually it's kind of like that type of thing. And then even last cycle it was kind of like that, and then like that, and then that. Now is a lot slower burn. And so I think part of that, kind of like what we were talking about earlier before we went on live, is like maybe like this is the start of like the stock marketification of crypto, right? Where it's like things are a little bit less boring, but that's also because it's not as driven as much by like hype and speculation and what could be. It's more of like, this is what actually is, and people are trading around like the actual value and the utility there. And that's one of the things I really like about utility coins is what I also say on my channel a decent bit of is like, I'm a crypto fan first and foremost, more than anything else, right? And so for me, it's like, I want crypto to win. XRP is a prime example. I personally think XRP is wild. I don't understand why it's made the run that it has. I don't understand like how it's done so well. And I think a lot of that is credit to the XRP community, but I just don't get it, right? And I could be wrong massively, but like from an investment perspective, obviously I haven't, put my money there. But as a crypto fan, I don't care. Like if XRP goes to $1 trillion and changes how the world transacts, and we get rid of wires and ACHs because we all just use XRP, great. I'm good with that, And so to me, like a lot of what we're seeing is the utility taking off, and I really like that's what I want to see. Is that Helium is another one that I've been in. I've been a bag holder basically since like 2021. I probably should have sold the top back then, but like more than like, again, the investment type of thing is like that Helium, what Helium does could not be enabled without crypto and essentially like a permissionless network. That's awesome, right? That is something like crypto needs. AI agents are potentially a similar thing in terms of like crypto being kind of the foundation on which they interact. This type of stuff is cool and like makes the world better. So, while people are talking about meme coins and all this type of stuff, like don't get me wrong, like, people can make money and do stuff, but it's the utility in building in towards like a lot of this that I think is good. And that's what I think ultimately we'll see as crypto as an entire asset class becomes bigger. We'll have Bitcoin, which is like a, store of value, that type of stuff. But then we will ultimately see the stock marketification of crypto as value grows and use case grows. And overall, I mean, frankly, like the level of sophistication of the average crypto investor, the speculation, a lot of that type of stuff, like when that continues to increase, that's when we're going to stop seeing as much volatility, because liquidity and just overall interest in the space is going to kind of continue to grow out.
Yeah. And, I'm excited to get to that point. Like obviously I do enjoy the excitement that comes with moments like this, where we have Trump's inauguration and Trump got elected and we have this thing happening and that thing happening. And quite frankly, where I am, and I do completely agree with you, is I'm excited to get to that point, right? With a stock marketification, or, whatever you want to call it, because at the end of the day, sustainability and consistency are where the easiest gains are made. Everyone thinks that when a market is willing to go up 300%, then drop 70%, just because it pumps a ton, you can make more gains in that market. And I highly disagree. I think the easiest place to make gains in any asset class is one that is consistent and sustainable, right? You generally know, okay, in the stock market, things are going to go in a general direction. You'll have periods where it breaks trend, but for the most part, it'll go in one place. And that is the point that I'm looking forward to. And
Yep.
I don't think people recognize that that's where we're going to. And I think that's a good thing. I saw one comment, and Bilbo, I don't mean to call you out. This is not my attempt at what I want to do right here. But a lot of people are thinking in this mindset of, what other catalysts are there to pump Bitcoin? Nothing. So Bitcoin's price has to go down. And I think I'm kind of getting tired of being in this phase of the market where people think catalysts are the things that cause bull markets. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I want people to think about the last thing, that there was one piece of news that had nothing to do with the economy. It had nothing, yeah, just nothing to do with the economy that impacted the entire stock market.
Yeah.
The stock market moves because it's valuable. Simple as that. The
Yeah.
underlying value of the stock market over time increases, right? How? Simple. The revenue that's generated by the companies in the stock market goes up. They earn more. They're more valuable. Their stock price goes up. The underlying value of the stock market goes up. Therefore, the price of the stock market goes up. It does nothing to do with catalysts. Now, sometimes the stock market goes up more than other years as a result of interest rates falling, right? As a stimulus checks, these things that'll maybe kind of change the dynamics of supply and demand, right? Those are catalysts. But at the end of the day, it's not, oh, Google is getting an investment from Yahoo. You get the point. Therefore, the whole stock market goes up. That's not how the stock market works. And the reason why I'm going on this tangent is just to go to say I'm excited to get to a point where people can recognize that the crypto market is here and it is going to grow as a result of the fact that it is becoming ever more valuable every single day. Every single ecosystem that is growing, that is expanding, that is bringing in more retail investors, companies like Ripple, who maybe are starting to finally make some moves out and actually fulfill their use case, things like Bitcoin that is finding its way into governments and institutions, right? It is finding its way into the mass world. And that is where we find value. And as value gets injected into the crypto ecosystem, the prices of cryptos will go up over time. And I'm excited to get to that point. I can't wait, quite frankly, until we get past the Bitcoin strategic reserve, whether we get it or whether we don't. I don't really give a shit, quite frankly. I just want to get past it because that is the point where, no, we don't have a halving. We don't have a presidential election. We don't have any of these things that everybody thinks is the end all be all of crypto. No, people get to recognize that crypto is going to be here with or without these major catalysts happening. These catalysts can make the price go up a lot more or down a lot more, but it's not the reason why crypto is still here. And that's where I'm excited to get to. And I'm glad you said that, man, because it's once we get to that point, especially as someone, you and I have been trading a lot for multiple years, if we get this market just sustainably trending upwards gradually, casually over time, on average, think about how much money you can make in a macro trend like that. It's nuts. It's so much harder to make money in a market that thinks that everything relies on trends and or on catalysts because it's not
Yeah.
necessary. So just had to rant about that for a second.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, one of the things that kind of like grinds my gears a little bit is the narrative trading. Oh, well, the AI narrative. Oh, this, yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, like narratives are important, but they're not important like people in crypto think they're important. Like Nvidia, for example. Nvidia is a multi-trillion dollar company, not because of the AI narrative, right? It's because they make a metric F ton of money selling GPUs to people trying to do AI things and stuff. It's like a picks and shovels type of play, right? Like if you want a GPU, you buy it from Nvidia, and that's why they're valuable, because they make a ton of money doing that. And so that's, in my opinion, I think where we will get to eventually in crypto. Same thing with Bitcoin. What catalyst do you need other than we live in an inflationary world and you want some place to store your money that doesn't get printed away to zero? What other catalyst is there, right? Like gold has been that for hundreds of years. Yet for like gold is not a fixed resource. Gold is a scarce resource. What happens if/when Elon and his Starship is going out and pulling down hundreds of tons of gold every day from mining asteroids? Obviously, that's going to be expensive. So, like, it's not like the value of gold is going to collapse, but it's not fixed, right? There are 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist, ever, ever, ever in the world. If you own one Bitcoin, there are only 20,999,999 people that can own one other Bitcoin, right? Like, as long as people deem that valuable, it's valuable. Same thing with gold. Until realistically, about what, 30, 40 years ago, when we started making microchips and processors and things like that, gold had no value. You can't eat it. I guess you could wear it maybe, but like realistically, it did not have value other than the fact that people are like, oh, wow, that's hard to find. So I'm going to buy it for more than you can buy it because I'm richer than you are, right? Like that was pretty much the value of gold until we had some of this like advanced manufacturing. This is like a tale as old as time, right? So if Bitcoin becomes that new digital gold, which is effectively Michael Saylor's like entire thesis around Bitcoin, then it's going to be valuable. You don't need any other catalysts. And frankly, I think the Bitcoin Reserve, it's not a catalyst. It's just reinforcing that theory, right? If the US or just governments in general think that it's valuable, then they're going to hold it as a source of like, this was the whole point of like mercantilism back in like the 1600s, right? I mean, there was a whole thing where like European governments were just trying to stash as much gold as humanly possible because they could. This could happen. We could have this like, neo digital mercantilism of Bitcoin potentially. Who knows? It's hard to say, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, man. And, sorry for I feel like I kind of pulled that into a bit of a tangent for about 20 minutes, but it's one of those things where I'm proud of the market. And all of that to say, I'm very proud of the market over the last few days, because now that we are finally getting past one of the biggest catalysts we'll basically see for the next couple of years, the market is holding well. And it's down a little bit. It's funny. Like I had to make the title a red day in crypto just because I didn't know what else to title it. But we didn't really crash. Like people think today is a crash. Today is not a crash. But anyway, like we're just in a spot, in my opinion, where the market is finally starting to stabilize and it is responding better to all of this than I thought it would. After I saw Fartcoin hit a billy, I was like, all right, that's a problem, right? Like we're at a spot to where once we get past this catalyst, this sell the news event is going to be nasty, and the market is stabilizing and it's looking pretty good. And so I guess kind of pushing a little bit more forward now, a question that I have for you, just kind of thinking about the future and stuff is, okay, well, obviously there are some things that are out there that could cause impacts on the market, right? FOMC meeting approaching. What do you think is the biggest thing? Because there will be things that do impact the market. They're not going to be major catalysts. There's not going to be many catalysts outside of the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And I don't think we are relying on those things. But out of curiosity, what are the things do you think that will impact this crypto market for the rest of the year? Because a lot of people are sitting back, even though I don't think it's the best way to look at it. They are wondering, okay, what else is there for? Like, what else should we be looking forward to? Should we be thinking about interest rates now? Because it seems like everyone needs something to think about. Kind of what's the next thing here in the crypto world?
One of the things that I think about, I think there's a lot of different things, right? Something that I've heard kind of multiple, or like as a point made multiple different times, that I do think is interesting is maybe we have a much more muted kind of like bull run, because meme coins have sucked so much liquidity in the market that would otherwise go elsewhere. I think that could be interesting. Part of the reason I think that is also maybe important is because the market's kind of like bifurcating itself. The people who want to gamble and potentially make 1,000x overnight take the meme coin route, and the people who are like interested in like actual real technical innovations kind of go like the altcoin route. I know that's probably not like exactly what's happening, but I think we're starting to see people maybe split a little bit more, is kind of my like initial thought. But also I think like a lot of what's going on within just the wider market is, yeah, I mean, liquidity matters, right? Like, thanks, G, I appreciate it. But yeah, like liquidity matters, right? And so like if interest rates start to drop, that obviously will impact, because crypto, at least so far, is still an incredibly risk on asset. And so as rates continue to drop, risk on assets will continue to, perform better and better. The other thing I think we could see as well is potentially like, how does the cycle continue, right? I mean, there is still the possibility. We've kind of, I think, taken a lot of this live stream to talk about how there's kind of like, there's been a fundamental paradigm shift, right? Yeah, maybe, but also maybe not, right? So it's like there is this way in which, maybe it does just kind of play out like it was going to. And, the Trump coin is only one of many different catalysts that play in to bring retail in, and, price explodes, all this different type of stuff, maybe. But I think a lot of what we're seeing in this year, or what I'm at least looking forward to, is I want to see what the government actually does with regard to crypto regulation. I mean, because we still don't know, right? I mean, like we have maybe general vague thoughts about what could be happening, but we don't actually know what's going to happen. within like the whole crypto space regarding regulation. One of the things I think is super frustrating and really annoying is realistically utility coins cannot exist in the US because, well, I guess they can, but you need to be registered with the SEC at that point. And that kind of sucks for the whole like permissionless bit that we're kind of playing into with crypto, right? And so I realistically don't think we'll see the SEC get rid of that. Like I just, I think I've got a whole different thoughts about that we won't get into. But like I don't think we'll see the SEC really get into that. I think it'll probably still kind of gatekeep some of that, like for all intents and purposes, it's like VC private investment type stuff. I think they'll still probably kind of gatekeep a lot of that, unfortunately. But that could change things, right? Because there's a lot of different things. Think about Uniswap. Like, what if Uniswap could say, we're taking 50% of the yield of like the fees that we generate and distributing it to uni holders? Like, that's cool. You can't do that, but like if you could, that would be cool. And I think that would give utility coins so much more value. And that's why utility coins don't really exist in the US, is because you can't do that. And that's why we've kind of devolved into this whole meme coin setup that we're in, is because the only way really that you can like invest in a coin is if the coin literally promises to do nothing, right? And like, so that's kind of where we're at. And that's even why like some of these other ones that like pretend to be utility coins, they're governance coins. I don't know if anybody cares about governing a project that somebody already has control of anyway, right? Like, I don't know. So to me, it's like we need to see how this regulation impacts what you can do with crypto, and then also just from like more of the like front end type of things. There's a lot of smart people that aren't going into crypto because they're afraid of getting a Wells notice. So if that can go away, then I think we're going to see a lot more really interesting things happening on crypto, be it DePIN, AI, RWA, whatever. I think all of those are trillion-dollar markets that are either yet to form or will be disrupted or disrupting existing trillion-dollar markets. And so I think there's a lot of that type of stuff that we can see potentially happening, but bringing smart, important, cool founders back to crypto, I think is also going to be a really big thing that we should be looking for this year.
Yeah. So we got the government's impact, kind of what they do. And it's funny because people always say, well, it doesn't matter what happens in the United States with crypto. I'm like, yes, it does. Like, you might not want it to, but yes, it does. No, that's a good point. I mean, it's something I've not really thought about, just kind of, because, like in the back of my mind, I've had this thought. And I hope it's not the case, but I feel like it might be. And it's actually the first time I've talked about this on the channel. It's like, what if this cycle is different in the sense that this is the first cycle really without retail? It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the last cycle we had was without institutions. The first couple cycles, we didn't have institutional investment. Are you kidding me? We did everything without institutions. But what if the way that nature works, right on time for this cycle to kick off, when retail was not available? Retail's not available, guys. Like, yes, are we in a better spot from a financial perspective per household than we were a year ago? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is just objectively true. But is anybody in this chat really just enjoy, like everybody say typical, just normal middle class? Is anybody out here with a whole bunch of extra money to just spend on something called fart shit coin? No, right? And so what if just by the grace of nature, the one cycle that was on track to not happen because of this retail not being available due to things like inflation, household costs, blah, 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 blah. What if it was taken over by institutions? And this gets labeled like the institution cycle, right? Where when we look back at it, we think that was just led by BlackRock, MicroStrategy, all of them. And then things relax. They cool down a little bit. We maybe go through a year, 2 years of not really that much happening, maybe gradual growth. What if it's just gradual growth? What if we just slowly move upwards? And then a time in, the world comes where maybe over the next 2 years, the government comes in. They've done a lot. The U.S. government's come in. They've set the regulations straight. They've got a lot of the BS, the bad actors out. Things are very clear. Innovation happens again. Trump maybe does a good job with the economy and starts to figure some things out, that everyday person starts getting some money back in their pockets and something happens. What? I don't know, but something happens. The government maybe in 2 years after everything is ready says that we're going to start buying Bitcoin, right? Or something like that. That triggers the retail to actually come back. And then in a couple years, we have the retail plus institution rally that gets us to 250 to 300. It makes a lot of sense. Like the more I've thought about it for the last 2 weeks, I'm like, that would make a lot of sense. And maybe I don't want that to be the case, right? Because if that is the case, it means, yeah, we're probably in a period where all of the exciting portion may be behind us, right? But what's even better is that if that is the case, if the exciting part is behind us, this bear market's not going to be nearly as bad as the last ones. I don't give a crap if we go into a bear market, quite frankly. I don't care if we spend 1 year kind of going sideways, because I know what comes after that. It's always growth.
Yeah.
So I start to wonder, like, what if it just doesn't? What if in 2 years, after regulations are set clear, everybody knows everything about what they need to know, the retail investor has more cash in their pockets, someone like BlackRock works with the SEC or whoever, and they work with the SEC, and next thing you know, the SEC and them and the government and everybody says, hey, altcoin ETFs are now allowed. Solana ETF, ETH ETF, XRP ETF, just boom, 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 back to back to back, and then retail just jumps in. It starts to make me wonder if that's how this plays out. And I don't know, obviously nobody on earth knows, but it's an interesting thought. And I'm curious, like, what do you think that's feasible?
I think it's feasible. I think there's kind of two main things that we're kind of indirectly hitting on when we talk about this type of stuff, right? I think the first thing is when we're looking at this, we need to think about, let's say, I'll just make up a number. Let's say retail collectively has $1 trillion. Well, when you're pumping $1 trillion into a $250 billion market cap total ecosystem, things go absolutely wild, right? But right now, the total crypto ecosystem and market cap is sitting at about $3.5 trillion. So the money collectively of retail starts to go less of a long way in terms of, in realistically, you got to think about it. If you hear your friend talking on the street and they're like, yeah, man, I turned $100 into $1 million yesterday because I like invested in like Coin or whatever. You're like, wow, that's sick. I got to do that. But if you hear your friend being like, yeah, man, I made 12.5% on yielding my liquid stable coin, they're going to be like, okay, whatever, nerd. Like that's like, it's totally different, right? And it plays off like retail's like FOMO, frenzy, a lot of that type of stuff, which is why I think we've seen meme coins do well, is because there is still that ability to like see, you find a pump.fun coin that does well. It's like playing the lotto, right? Like you're probably going to lose, but you might win. And so that's why it's important, And so I think that's kind of the first thing. The second thing that I think is MEV, right? Everybody's all about MEV, and institutions are starting to get involved. And as you can see with the stock market, institutions are very, very good at capitalizing on arbitrage, right? Like there's like big banks have entire arbitrage departments that basically focus on the maximalizing value in every piece possible. Because you start
Can you explain to them what arbitrage is real quick?
Yeah, so arbitrage, like, and part of what's so valuable right now to institutions about crypto is the lack of liquidity, right? And when there's a lack of liquidity, it opens up arbitrage. So arbitrage is, let's say that over here at this Walmart in Arkansas, you can buy a roll of paper towels for $1. But over here in the Safeway in Arkansas, you can buy a roll of paper towels for $2, right? So arbitrage effectively would be, okay, well, I'm going to go to Walmart, buy all of the paper towels that exist, and then I'm either going to go to Safeway and say, hey, you guys sell your paper towels for $2. I'll sell you all of these whole paper towels for $1.50. You essentially just made 50 cents almost for free just for walking to the other side of town. Or conversely, you could go and stand right outside of Safeway and say, hey, they charge you $2. I'll charge you $1.50, right? So like that is effectively arbitrage. And so you can look at this in crypto in a couple of different ways. What if you want to buy, I don't know, some stable coin on Uniswap, and then you want to go buy some, and maybe stablecoin's not the right way. Let's talk about some micro cap with like zero liquidity. You can buy it on Uniswap for $1, or you can go to PancakeSwap and buy it for $1.20, just because the buyers and the sellers are different in different places. And so theoretically, there's an arbitrage opportunity there. You can go buy everything from Uniswap for $1 and go sell it on PancakeSwap for $1.20. That is essentially like the MEV type of situation, right? So and you can see that that's like a pretty simple example, but that happens everywhere, right? Like think about if there is a demand for 100x gem coins, and maybe that is coming through memes. Well, maybe, it's really easy to code bots nowadays, right? Maybe I can create this entire machine where I spin up Twitter accounts that I bought to 15,000 followers, and then I attach that to some pumped up fun coin that I have, promote a few tweets, and then, I maybe pay off a couple of influencers or whatever to shill it, do all that type of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, I've got a legit coin that a handful of people think can make it to $1 million. Or $1 billion. Let's go $1 billion, because that's where people are going to see their 1,000x's. And a few do. That's the important part, right? Like Fartcoin's done it, Brett's done it, Bonk did it like a year ago. Like it does happen, and that's the important part, is it does happen. And so then there's a lot of people that come on in and are like, oh yeah, this is going to be the next one, and then they rug it. That's MEV, right? Like that's easy money that people can essentially just churn out.
It just makes you wonder how that's going to impact. Like, it makes you, and now I go back, and it just, God damn it, because it brings me all the way back to the very beginning, and just the hypothetical of like, what do they do? What do the institutions do? Because the institutions are huge on arbitrage, like you said, and that's something I didn't think about. So that is another aspect and another way that they're, and just letting people know, the way that ties back into what we were talking about before, if you just joined, is that there are going to be catalysts in the future that are going to cause institutions to get even more involved, even outside of Bitcoin, right? Like in the altcoins and stuff. And that's very likely going to be what triggers the liquidity needed for retail investors to want to jump back in. And so I guess like we're just having a think right now. It's just like, I see so many different sides of the coin with it. And I don't know, it's a hard one to think about. I guess going forward, okay, let's kind of just push forward, because all we're going to do is just get tied up in hypotheticals over and over and over again, is to kind of recap and summarize. The market obviously pumped and had a lot of craziness leading up to Trump's inauguration, right? After Trump's inauguration, a lot of people were somewhat disappointed, but the market is stabilizing extremely well right now. Feels to me like the market's kind of just waiting to see if something happens, like a strategic reserve or something like that. But the market is stabilizing, and I'm very proud of it as a result of that, because of course there was a lot of mania, and usually mania is followed by sell-offs, and I'm glad people aren't selling off. They're sticking to crypto, and that's a good sign. And so going forward, obviously there aren't going to be that many huge catalysts on the way. There's obviously the FOMC. There is a possibility of a strategic reserve. There's any other news that may come out from the administration, but nothing foreseeable, nothing planned. And with that in mind, the future is a little bit murky right now. No one really knows what it's going to look like, but I do think it's going to stabilize to some degree, and I do think it's going to kind of balance out a little bit. And so my question to you is, with that summary kind of in place, and now we've thrown some hypotheticals out there of what the market could look like in the future, what's your game plan right now? Like, what are your thoughts? And I'll kind of ask you that, and then afterwards I'll kind of follow up with my own game plan and strategy, because I think people are trying to figure out what to do right now, and I think we can maybe help them out, because we are your financial advisors.
Yeah, so Tyler might be your financial advisor, but I am not, because I think that's just it, right? I mean, the most important thing that I always try and emphasize when I talk about like just anything on my channel is like, obviously I have thoughts, and I like to think I've been pretty accurate generally with my thoughts on the market, but it's not like I've got some crystal ball in the other room that I just go consult with before I make a YouTube video. Like, I don't know for sure. There's no way really to know for sure. And so, obviously, I've got my experience that I can draw on, and, I've been in crypto for 7 or 8 years at this point. So like I've seen a decent bit of stuff, but I don't know for sure. And so a lot of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of stay open to all of these different possibilities and all these different, hypotheticals that we talked about. I saw somebody in the chat earlier said there's a lot of hypotheticals going on here. Like, exactly, right? I mean, that's what makes markets. Somebody thinks Bitcoin's going to $1 billion a coin. Somebody thinks it's useless. And the person who thinks it's useless is a seller, and the person who thinks it's going to $1 billion is a buyer. One of them might be right. Neither of them could be right? I mean, that's what makes markets. And so the one thing I will say with the whole catalyst situation is I think there's a hidden catalyst that is absolutely massive that I don't think people are paying attention to. And that's baby boomers. Baby boomers have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that eventually over time will be passed down to younger people, right? I mean, you guys may have your own, again, this is not financial advice. You guys can have your own financial strategies. But if I theoretically were to receive an inheritance, I probably would be putting a piece of it into Bitcoin, because why not? Right? I mean, it's a store of value. I believe in that. I think that's fair. And so if there's a lot of other young people who believe that, that's potentially where it could go as well. And so, I do think there's kind of some of that that's going to happen. Again, there's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So it only takes a small fraction of that to see crypto really go, somewhat parabolic. The other thing I will say, kind of with regard to some of these catalysts that could change things, that in my opinion is kind of like, that is what makes some of these most violent moves so violent, right? Is because nobody expects it. If everybody expected it, it wouldn't happen because everybody saw it coming. And so you think about like the COVID crash. If I knew or if anybody knew what was going to happen during COVID, I mean, I would have ran out and I would have bought all the paper towels, all the toilet paper, all the hand sanitizer that money could buy. And I probably would have bought a hand sanitizer like making factory, whatever those are called. I probably would have bought Pfizer, probably would have bought Moderna, probably would have like 100x longed all of them, right? Like, because that was just such an obvious play if you knew what was about to happen. And so that's just it, right? It's like some of these moves that are the most violent happen because nobody expects it. And so you can make that argument either way about whether it's going to go up or go down. I personally am very, very bullish on where we're sitting. I don't think we're seeing oversaturation of things getting too frothy in the market. I think we're seeing a lot of, I think AI really will be a huge motivator for using crypto. AI needs something to interact on, right? I mean, AI needs a way to transact value if these agents are going to do things of value. And so in my opinion, crypto is an obvious play for that. The baby boomers eventually, again, not to get too morbid, but the baby boomers, eventually that money will be trickling down to younger people who fundamentally believe in Bitcoin. Go look at any census data out there. Young people are all about Bitcoin. Old people aren't. I think that's a fairly safe thing to say. It's more of just looking about efficiency in the economy as well. Crypto can do that. I mean, you look at stable coins. I was actually listening to the All In podcast on my way back driving home, and they were talking about stable coins and the possibility that stable coins effectively remove card processors from the equation, right? Card processors fees are about 3%. That is a 3% drag on effectively the international GDP. Imagine what happens if you spiked an extra 3% into the global economy. That could be pretty wild, right? And so that's why I remain fundamentally very, very bullish on crypto, even though, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next month. But overall, I think we're going to see some pretty crazy stuff happen.
Sure. So I guess kind of just to touch a little bit more on the strategy side of things, how are you feeling in terms of, obviously you're bullish. Does that equate to buying still? Does that equate to taking profits? Does that what does that equate to from a strategy perspective from Cade? I know obviously you and I talked a little bit about real estate. What's your game plan?
Yeah. So I'm a big real estate guy. So I'm always looking at buying real estate forever. I am looking at various crypto. So the way I always look at it, I've actually thought about I've thought about kind of how this could look of creating like my own metric, because the way I look at basically every trade is cost benefit or risk reward, essentially. And so it's like right now, if this is like max reward, meaning like it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and this is like max risk, meaning like you're probably top blasting and hoping for the best. I would say the market's probably kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't think this is the best time to buy. I don't think it's probably an ideal time to sell, but who knows? I mean, this could be the top. We don't know. I mean, just given the metrics that we're seeing, I tend to look more at like the fundamental analysis. So, for any of you who missed this earlier on in the stream, we looked at Solana's stats on DeFi Llama. Like fundamentally, that looks really really good to me. So like Solana, I'm probably still a buyer. Bitcoin, I'm probably still a buyer. ETH, I have a hard time with because it's really done pretty bad compared to what I was expecting. So, that's something that, I don't know. I would probably say I'm like a holder on ETH. But like, yeah, Solana, Bitcoin, I'm pretty happy with those. I have a couple smaller cap plays. ICP is one that I have spent some time doing research on. I think it's got its issues here and there, but like the technology itself seems really interesting. If you guys check out my Twitter account, linked right there, or X, I guess I should say, I actually reposted a video today from the founder of ICP. Apparently, they're like they have this product that's in beta where you essentially can like code your own software using natural language processing. This is very similar to some of the other like mass market products that are in development. But like that could be something that could be pretty wild for like the crypto space, especially. I don't know again where it is in relation to some of these other more mass market, like Cursor's one that has seen a ton of success recently. Those are some ones that we could potentially like that could be a big move. And so I'm looking at some of those smaller ones, but overall, like of the big ones, probably Solana and Bitcoin are the two that I'm like most focused on right now.
Sure. So I would agree for the most part. I'm definitely in the middle. Like, and now is definitely the time, in my opinion, to start building cash for a bear market. I would say like we're getting to that point. Like,
Yeah.
hey, okay, we're getting to a point now where it'd be a good idea. This might bite me in the ass to say, but it's just my honest opinion. I still think buying on red days right now is a good idea. I haven't done a large purchase in crypto in a very long time. And by large purchase, I generally mean that I'm increasing that individual position by over 10%. So, for example, if my Bitcoin position is $10,000. If I put $1,000 in my brain, that's a large purchase. Generally speaking, it's all based on percentages. So large purchases for me are 10% above. Medium purchases are usually around 5%. Small purchases are generally around like 1 or 2%. And that's how I do it. I've basically been doing small to medium purchases pretty consistently. I've done some tiny purchases as well, but pretty consistently I've done some small to medium purchases on anything that dips, right? Any of these red days, any of those things. And honestly, it's working out pretty well. Like, it's working out pretty well. There's been a couple of times where, I bought Bitcoin at $92,000 recently. It pumped to 107 or 106, took a little bit of profit off the table. So I still believe there are gains that can be made in this market. I still think that there are going to be many of crypto that go up anywhere from 20 to 30%. And I think the fact that we're finally in a spot where a lot of people feel like the top is in means that the top is probably not in. Like, it's just kind of how I feel, right? If crypto Twitter is saying the top is in, we're past all the catalysts, there's no reason for crypto to go up, is the biggest sign to me that the top's probably not in, right? And so I'm in a spot where I'm not confident to be doing huge purchases because I'm not that sure. I am confident enough to be doing some small purchases. Now, what am I purchasing? I'm buying top 10 crypto still. I've not seen enough validated evidence that we have seen a rotation from top cryptos to smaller ones yet. Obviously, we've seen some that have done well, but I still believe SWI, top 15, top 20 crypto, is a great risk versus reward. Can it still 3 to 5x? Absolutely. Is it going to go to zero? Probably not. In a bear market, it'll probably drop 70, 80%, I'm sure. But do I think we're in a bear market yet? No. So I'm buying things like SWI. I'm buying things still. Like, you look at something like ADA. ADA is a United States-based crypto that has its CEO tied directly to the presidential cabinet. If there's any crypto that is going to benefit from the U.S., ADA is one of them, right? And so something like that, it's still what? It's not $1. It's not even $1 right now, right? And so in my brain, my strategy here is I am still buying on the red days. I still think it's a good idea too. I am selling. I'm taking profits every time it pumps. I will continue to do that. Anytime for the rest of this year that crypto pumps a lot, and by a lot, you'll know the feeling that I'm talking about. I don't even need to explain it. You'll know what I mean. I'm taking profits. And that's my game plan. I know it's so stupid, right? It sounds so simple that it's stupid, but I think people have forgotten the basics and the fundamentals. But my strategy right now, when it dips, do some small buys. Nothing huge. 5% portfolio position increases. Whenever it pumps, just take some profits. Typically small as well. 5%. And I'm sticking to that. I'm not leverage trading right now. I don't know if you are. I'm not leverage trading right now. I'm not confident enough to yet right now. We are in what I call on my channel all the time an HMZ, which is a high manipulation zone. I don't need to go to the lizard eye right now, but we can kind of chat about it real quick. We are in a zone right now for Bitcoin where I believe there will be heavy manipulation. I think we're going to see manipulation happening on both sides. As long as retail investors are, as long as they are leveraging, we're going to see manipulation. I still think there is a reason to say that we could see Bitcoin pull at any given point back towards $96,000 or $95,000, especially considering that is where the liquidations are accumulating, right? If you go look at something like liquidation map, if this market is going to go down, when you look at something like the 7-day, it's going to go back towards 100,000-ish on the 7-day. And then if you go to the 30-day, it's headed back right around 98 to 97,000 on the 30-day, right? So I still think if this market is going to go down, I think it's going to probably head back towards, some of these lower levels. And so knowing that there are still those retail investors who are just greedy, who are so confident that this market's going to go up or it's going to go down, I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. I think a lot of manipulation. And until we get a true and clear trend break, I'm not really going to be doing too much. I personally like trading in these moments. I trade in very quick bursts. I'll do a year's worth of trading in something like this. I'll do a year's worth of trading in something like this. And the other way around, it's not even just bull markets. In these periods, I did more leverage trading in these periods than I've ever done in my entire life. Quite simply because the trend is very easily to identify. And so when we're in periods like this, I'm not leverage trading. I'm not doing much. If it dips, I buy. If it goes up, I sell. And it's worked stupidly well. Since then. So I guess the last question that I want to ask for you before we go into a Q&A portion is, we've talked a lot about the fact that you would be willing to do some small buys, and didn't mean to do that. You are doing some small buys and stuff like that, and, do some purchases on some micro caps. My question is, what are you doing when it comes to selling? Are you taking profits yet? Are you pulling profits on green days? I mean, Solana went up to $299, $298 or something. I will say I sold 10% of my entire Solana bag on I can pull it up. What day was that? If anybody is in the school, if you could remind me, that would be great. But I mean, that wasn't that long ago. Like, I pulled profits from Solana. Shoot, this was, let's see. Yeah, on the 19th at $281. I sold 10% of my entire Solana position. And you go look at something like Solana, that was up here in this little circle, because I circle it every time I take profits. That was right there. I took profits here. And so my question is, are you taking profits yet, or are you not in that spot to be taking profits yet? Are you not ready to?
Yeah, so I have some of the longer term bags that I have where I don't think we've seen. So there I kind of segment my investing in kind of a couple of different ways. So I've got what I would call my macro bag, right? So I'm looking this is the macro bottom, this is the macro top. Obviously, you can never predict exactly where that's going to be, but when you see okay, this is ridiculous. Like last cycle, when there were Ponzi's going on and there were all these forks of Olympus DAO or whatever, Rome DAO. I can't remember what the first one was, but it was that's ridiculous, right? Reality is departing, or the market is departing from reality. So that's kind of what I try to do for long term. Short term, I do have a swing trading bag, and so I did do some leverage trading. I actually am kind of opposite of you. I feel like I do a lot better leverage trading when we are in the range, because I know exactly this is the bottom, that's the top, and until we see a trend break, and obviously on the trend break, I'll get liquidated for sure. But you make enough going back and forth, in my opinion. I'm open. I'm more than okay being liquidated when that trend break actually happens, because usually, again, when I'm trading at the point of maximum reward, where with my Solana play, actually at the top, I sold in a couple different pieces because I wasn't exactly sure how high it was going to go. I was not expecting it to go that high, so I did not time the top there. But I think like my first sell, it was like 400% gain because I was doing a 20x because I literally bought on the like liquidation wick where it was pulling outside of the Bollinger Bands. I use Bollinger Bands as because I find they're like pretty instructive. If something is pulling outside of the Bollinger Band on the daily and something is pulling outside of like RSI, either going to oversold or overbought, like that is the clear and obvious sign that you should probably be selling, in my opinion, again. So we saw that happening when we saw Solana go down to like 170, I want to say 175. And so I ended up getting in at like 170 or 175. And then I ended up writing that all the way to like, I think 240 was the first time I took profits. And then again, since I was driving in the middle of the desert, I did miss the like super pump, but I sold it on the way down for the same reason, because I was like, we've already come out of the Bollinger Bands. We're going to be returning back to the mean. It sucks that I missed like the like top point that I could have sold, but I'm not going to bag hold because we know which way it's going and it's going down, and it did. So, that's kind of how I do some of like my more medium term trading is, yeah, I'm very, very comfortable selling immediately because it's not about holding for the long term. My long-term bags are things that I just have super high conviction on, and I'll wait till we see like a more macro, like this looks frothy, and then I'll sell.
Sure, no, that makes sense. Okay. Well, damn, look, man, I feel like we've covered the short term, the midterm, the long term, the extra long term, and so I think we go ahead and call it there. Look, this is what I want to do. This is the game plan that I have. I want all of you who have some questions about what you want to, if there's anything that you're curious about, any thoughts, anything like that, feel free to let us know. Go ahead and ask your questions. We're going to start the Q&A in 1 minute. Now, for the next 1 minute, I'm going to shamelessly shill a few things. So stick around in here if there's anything that you find interesting. Okay, first and foremost, if you guys have been enjoying the content that me and Kate have been putting out in this video, Kate is actually one of the coaches over in our crypto school. Our crypto school is a place where you can go if you're really wanting to start getting ahead in this crypto world. It's very simple. We take crypto investors like yourselves. We give you courses, coaching classes, live streams, workshops, signals, research, Q&As, and much more. And we help you develop your strategies because strategies are what create gains. And the best part about it is you get your money back guaranteed if you don't learn anything. And it starts as little as $5 a month. And don't just take it from me that gains are being made. You can go out to the community. This is just today, guys. I mean, I can just scroll and scroll and scroll. This is just from today, hundreds of percentages and gains. We have now seen over $1 million in profit generated in the community. And the best part is, too, we're not going to pretend like people don't lose. Of course, people lose. And what's best about it is when they lose, they talk about why they lost and how they could correct it. So there's a ton of value there. Feel free to go check it out. If you guys are interested in starting your trading journey today, you can get up to $20,000 in bonuses with Weeks or WeX down below. You can do a whole bunch of challenges, get your account started, do some verifications, whatever it may be. You can get hundreds of dollars in futures trading bonuses and withdrawable bonuses. So all of that is available for you there down below. I was about to shill my Twitter, but my Twitter was suspended earlier by the lizard people because they don't like the shit I talk. Jokes. Joking, by the way, lizards. So Twitter will be back up soon. So feel free to check these things out. Check out Weeks. Check out, of course, the school down below. The school is available for you. We do currently have 1,231 members. I did open 2 executive tier slots earlier this morning, and there are a couple other spots if you want to check them out. Go read through this. Go see what all is included. And then the very last thing that I do want to hint to you guys about before we get into the Q&A is that I have been working on developing an indicator that is a better version of the one we released last year. I've been working on it for about 2 months. What it is, I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of insight, a tiny, tiny little sliver of insight on it. It's a thing called battle signals. And what it is an indicator that indicates where battle zones are and when battle signals are going off. What this means is, of course, when are we starting to see the bulls winning? When are we seeing the bears winning? It works very, very well. Look, I'm going to go to the 5-minute charts real quick. This is not available yet, so don't feel like you need to go get anything right now. But what this thing does is it can kind of point out and tell you, hey, I want to give you the best details I can. Let's just go back to the 1 minute. But what it'll tell you is, hey, this is when we're starting to see this market overbought. This is when we're seeing the market oversold. So for example, here on the 1 minute, you can see how this played out. Solana's price, for example, came up approaching these battle zones. As we hit these battle zones, you get these red battle signals going off, showing that the bears are starting to win and the bulls are losing momentum. You hit these blue battle zones, and as this is happening, the market starts to pull back and you start to see it in the other direction. So keep an eye on this. I am going to be releasing this in a couple of weeks here. It works stupidly well. And I'm not just saying that. I'm going to give you all access to use it before anything. So you'll be able to use it. You'll be able to try it out and test it to see if it does work for you before we ever go public with it. So do stay tuned for that. And all of that will be available for you. So again, feel free to go check out, of course, the school. Feel free to check out WeX down below. And then stay tuned because battle signals will be coming out very, very soon. But with that in mind, let's pivot on over and let's get into the Q&A section of
I do want
the
to
video.
I do want to add a quick shameless plug for Tyler's Discord as well, because when I've mentioned a couple different times when I was driving through the desert and I missed this whole Solana pump and whatever, I actually have the Discord notifications on, and so when I saw that Tyler was like, I just closed down a whole bunch of my bag, I was like, oh, interesting, because I hadn't looked at the chart that day because I was driving. And so then I told my wife, I was like, go sell some of this. So anyway, that's how I ended up closing down my position. So yeah, anyway.
And I almost completely forgot one other thing I forgot to do. Again, we're getting to the Q&A here. Cade is also one of the guys who does one of the shows over in the server. Every week you can do a Q&A with Cade where he'll answer some of the questions for you. He is your financial advisor. I took him off the screen so he can't argue. He is your financial advisor. He will tell you exactly what to do with all of your money at all times. And if he is wrong, you can sue him. No, all jokes aside, he is also an awesome YouTuber. Feel free to go check out his channel down below. 4,420 subscribers. Pushing on up. So go check all that stuff out. But again, no more shameless shilling. Let's get into the Q&A section. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? Any question? Can you please explain how your dollar cost average really matters? For instance, if you have a low dollar cost average, but you want to sell a little bit, hold on. Okay. Can you please explain how your dollar cost average really matters? For instance, if you have a lower dollar cost average, but you want to sell a little bit and buy back in on a low. I'm struggling with this one. Just kind of rewrite that one for me. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking there. I bought sold during the pump price today. Should I sell it and buy it at a lower price point and until then utilize that money in other little pumps, or keep it at the pump price that I bought it? I think you should stop making such sporadic movements. I think that you should create a strategy and stick to that strategy. Because right now what you're doing is, oh, it's good, I'm going to buy it, and oh, it's down, I'm going to sell it, and then maybe I'll take a little money and go put it into TARS AI, right? I would honestly, if I was you, I'm not telling you to do this, but if I was you, I would probably just pull the money out, set a strategy. I'm going to buy things when this happens. I'm going to sell things when this happens. And don't do anything until that strategy is refined. Because right now, you're just freestyling, and you're going to end up losing. It's very likely. Kay, do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, there's this meme. If anybody's been on crypto Twitter, there's this meme of like, there's like this guy and he's like, I should take profits. And then there's like this like thing behind him, like pulling him away, but it could 10x. It's like, this is literally the perpetual problem with crypto. It's happened to all of us. I guarantee you. So you have to, like, you can't leave it up for discussion. Like you have to set rules. You have to stick with your rules. And that's just what it is. And if you have good rules, you will win. If you have bad rules, you will lose. And you should probably look at making different rules.
Yeah. Agreed. Davey D came in with the super chat earlier today. Shout out to you and much appreciated, homie. I'm going to use this to buy a better best friend than Cade. We got one says, Tyler, can we please get thoughts on AVAX and when is the start of alt season? I'm honestly not sure when alt season is. I do still believe that there should be a catalyst that will naturally drain a little bit of liquidity from the top towards the bottom. People always say that altcoin season won't come. They say what would cause it. And my thing is this. In 2023, we saw Pepe's market cap fly to over $1 billion, sparking a mini altcoin season. In 2024, we saw something very similar at the beginning of the year when we saw things like Cocking and all of these other things flying without much reason. There was not much catalyst leading to this. It is just what it is. Altcoin seasons can happen sporadically out of nowhere for no real reason. And so I don't want people to think that it won't happen. Matter of fact, the more people who think it won't happen, the more likely it is that it's going to happen. I don't know when it will happen, but there's a case. When it comes to AVAX, I do struggle with AVAX. AVAX used to run on the back of Solana. I think a lot of people are recognizing that AVAX is just very similar to many other things, and they're not standing out very much from the crowd, so people are struggling with it, which is a part of the reason why I like AVAX, but I don't love AVAX. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said earlier on, if everybody expected it to happen, then it would happen, right? And like that's just how that works. You don't see stellar gains happen when everybody's expecting it, because then people would front run it. Like so I think that's important to note. AVAX, I don't have a ton of strong thoughts on, primarily just because, yeah, I mean, I think there's better places to be personally. I'm not flaming AVAX. I just personally don't. I just personally don't put too much time. I mean, there's so much going on in crypto. You just kind of have to pick.
Yeah, agreed. Shout out to Crypto Pandas, my guy in the building. Crypto Pandas is a great channel. Feel free to go check that out. A great channel, a huge channel. John comes back in. I'm just asking, how does your dollar cost average affect your total profits? I just need to know more about dollar cost average, even though I dollar cost average every day. Well, just a general crash course on dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is what you call it, what you know what it is already. It's just buying gradually every single day, every week, in intervals, or just randomly and sporadically. Your dollar cost average obviously can reduce your profits. So if you're in profit by $100 and you buy more crypto, that means that you're buying more crypto. Like your total profit amount technically is still the same, but the percentage of profits that you have decreases the more that you average in. So it's just a game of figuring it out, right? My average cost right now in Solana is $32, right? And so every time I buy Solana at $250, well, I'm lowering the percentage of profit that I'm up, though I still have the same amount of dollar amount that I'm up. So it just kind of depends. It will lower your overall percentage of profit, but your total profit won't go down, if that makes sense. Unless technically you're taking some of the profit and reinvesting it back in, then technically it's not profit anymore, but you get the point. I digress. Crypto Pandas comes in. If you're a gamer, you'll like AVAX. I'm definitely not for the average crypto trader. That makes sense. I don't really know much about gaming. I think gaming of 2021 is the same AI of 2024 and 2025. Everybody was saying that gaming was going to be the biggest thing in the entire world. I was one of them. I still do believe it will be, but it has been a little bit delayed, and I think gaming will have its time. And if gaming is super big on AVAX, then I would assume AVAX should do well, but I'm not educated on AVAX almost in the slightest. So
the most I know about AVAX is Off the Grid, which obviously is a crypto game. So yeah.
Got you. Okay. Let's see here. I'm expecting a dump in summer. Sell in May and go away. Every year I fight the sell in May and go away theory because I'm like, well, 1 year it's not going to happen that way, and then it freaking happens the same exact way every year. So I might take profit this year, but I swear to God, if I take profits in May and we pump in June, I'm gonna just burn Cade's whole house down. It just is what it is. Someone has to take the L for it, and it shan't be me. So
I was saying, I think we should make it happen. Big L's on Tyler.
Okay, question for you, Kate. I've not looked much into this because I don't even particularly care. I've been seeing a lot of concern about the Bank of Japan most likely raising their interest rates tomorrow on Friday. A lot of people thinking this crashes crypto. I don't particularly see that, but I am curious of your thoughts.
So I'm not super into like the fine details. I can explain why people think it would crash crypto, and that's mostly based on history. But I like the current situation. I'm not exactly sure if it will crash crypto, and if so, how much. Basically, the TLDR as to why a lot of people think the Bank of Japan raising their interest rates could crash crypto is because of the yen trade carry, or the yen carry trade. I said that backwards. Basically, what it means is you're borrowing money in a low interest rate environment and then shipping it out elsewhere to a higher interest rate environment. Again, we're back to arbitrage. People like their arbitrage. And so essentially, like, that's essentially what was going on is people buy yen in Japan, they go essentially ship it out elsewhere, make a higher yield, and then they essentially take the spread. And so if Japan does raise their interest rates, it increases the risk of a possible another version of the yen carry trade unwind. Essentially what happens here is, because when Japan raises their interest rates, it no longer becomes profitable and you're not actually making a spread anymore. You might actually be net negative. And so if you're net negative, you're a seller because you're now losing money instead of making money. And so this is what can cause some of that unwind. I think a lot of this is from excess leverage in the system. So again, like if everybody knew that there was going to be a whole bunch of forced sellers in the market, people would front run it. So I'm not sure that there's really a way to like actually predict this. I certainly don't have access to the data to like be able to forecast when this would happen, but theoretically that's how something like that would occur.
Got it. Okay. Let's see this. Couple more questions. Do you think meme coins will pump for real before we probably enter the bear market, or do you think the 4 cycle is over to do everything that is happening in crypto? Like I mentioned before, altcoin cycles will happen out of nowhere. You just won't see them coming. No one really saw Pepe coming. Pepe, the Pepe run was one of the craziest altcoin seasons I've ever seen in my entire life because it came out of nowhere. Like the market just started kind of pumping, Bitcoin just kind of bottomed, some altcoins just kind of doing that, but no one cared about crypto. We weren't that far removed from the FTX crash. I mean, like we were what, 5 months removed from the FTX crash, something like that. Like not very far. Pepe just sent it out of no, it just absolutely sent it, and they just come out of nowhere. So yeah, I still think it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully they give it back. I'm kind of pissy about it, but it is what it is. What do you do? Okay.
The real truth is I hired a bot army to mass report Tyler's Twitter.
Oh, okay. I see. We'll be off stream real soon here, Kato. Now
you
right,
burn my house down, I bang your Twitter. You know.
Oh goodness, what's happening on Whale Alert on X? You can see so much money is moving, like $150 million sent to a wallet. Why is that? Well, if 150 million just got sent from an exchange to a wallet, that's good. If 150 million just got sent from a wallet to an exchange, that's not good. So clarify on what happened. No, Tyler is a retired scrapper. Thank you very much. Very, very happily not going to be punching anything anytime soon. I'm trying to find your question, Crazy. You know I have the eyes of Cade, so might take me a second here. I might need you to repost that question, Crazy, because I just don't see it. And I'm already back like 20 minutes ago. Saying hi from New Hampshire, I believe, is NH. Shout out to you. Can you believe Bitcoin went to 109K and there's still a shitload of alts that will never have touched their all-time highs yet? I can absolutely believe it. And it plays into my thesis that maybe this is the institution cycle. I don't believe it yet, but because I don't know, man. You know, like I don't freaking know. No one knows. Anyway, at the end of the day, nobody knows. But there is just that deep down piece of me that wonders, is this the institution cycle? Are we now about to just start laying down the foundation to build up for the retail cycle in a couple years? Maybe. What's your this cycle prediction for Solana in a bear case, mid case, and bull case? Bull case 1,000, undercut it by like 100, so like 890. Mid case 600, bear case 350. That's Fibonacci based guesses. You got anything for that one, or are you happy with that?
I'm happy with that. I trust your Solana TA more than I trust mine. And honestly, it's pretty much in line. So
got you. Okay. No idea about that one. I think Daddy Trump is going to bring in a whole shit ton of institutional money. Love it. Okay, let's see. Is there a YouTuber who you guys watch sometimes and why? I watch a lot of YouTubers. There only are like two. There's like 3 YouTubers I never watch. You just know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
Kate O'Neill. No. So let's think. Some YouTubers I like to watch. Kate, think of some while I go through this. So Invest Answers, I'm a fanboy over. Somebody tell him to bring me on a stream and I'll start crying. I watch him a lot. I watch Connor Kenny, my least favorite redhead on earth. Obviously Sam. I'm trying to think of who I've been really liking House of Crypto recently. I met him out in Dubai for like 5 seconds. Cool guy, but I never really watched his content. But I really have been liking his style. I really like the editing and stuff he puts in his videos. And he has some pretty good thoughts. He is very solid in what he says. So he'll say like the altcoin season has not happened yet. It will happen on this day. I'm not a huge fan of that personally because I know, just like he knows, none of us know. You don't actually know for sure that's going to happen on that day. And this isn't me throwing shade at him. The guy has his convictions and good for him. But outside of that, let me think. I think that's it for... Benjamin Cohen. I was about to say someone does some analysis. Benjamin Cohen, obviously. But if you don't watch Benjamin Cohen, you're just not doing this right. What do you got? Anybody else?
Yeah, I was gonna say Connor, Sam, Benjamin. Those are 3. I also do watch Jesse Eckel a decent bit. He's got some. He's interesting because he's got a lot of like very, very different convictions from what you hear, kind of otherwise. He's like a perma ETH maxi. So it is interesting though to like hear some of that thought. A lot of what I like is like. Again, not financial advice, and I truly believe that. What was that?
Said yes, it is.
But no, like I truly believe that because it's like I like to listen to a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives, because even if you don't agree with them, like you're probably going to learn something about the way other people are thinking, and you should be able to take something away from that. So yeah, I mean those are kind of the big ones that I watch.
Got it. Nick Lathrop goes in. Do any of you think SWE is strong enough to make it through to the next cycle as strong as it did this cycle? Yes. You're going to see many an altcoin fall 70, 80, 90%. SWE might be one. I think SWE is going to be around. Something about it. It's just something about it. It's something about it makes me confident. And maybe it ends up next cycle's AVAX. Hopefully not, or maybe not AVAX. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's next cycle's Phantom, right? Maybe that is the case, but something about it. It's something about it. I like it. So I guess we'll see. No BS crypto. That's mean, Kevin Thomas. I don't know much about Stockmo. Tyler S is hilarious, dude. Now the last guy's definitely sucky. He's definitely a scam artist. Yo, God, what did Stockmo do? I like my financial friend too. He gets news. Sam will give you Bitcoin news faster than you can. Very fast. I'm just gonna leave it there. He can get it to you very fast. Jasmine price prediction. What do you think it will do? I like Jasmine. I don't love Jasmine. Jasmine's not given me the signs of life that I hoped it would for the last few months, but we have a Jasmine homie here. Curious your thoughts.
I actually just released a Jasmine video talking exactly about this like an hour ago. And basically the TLDR is like same type of thing. I like Jasmine. I don't love Jasmine. I don't think we've seen a lot of what I was hoping to see out of Jasmine. It frankly is kind of underperformed some of my expectations. I gave some like revised price predictions. I have a Jasmine price prediction video that has done quite well, where I go over some pretty insane numbers. But some of that in that video is like everything has to go right for Jasmine for us to hit these types of numbers. And everything has not gone right for Jasmine, in my opinion. Right? Obviously, things can change on a dime and anything can happen. But I don't think we're going to see how that ends up going. And I think it's going to do worse than what some of us are expecting. I still think it'll do good though. It's just not going to do amazing.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, dude, how did I forget about Eric Crown? Eric Crown is literally like, I almost said something super suspect, but I'm gonna leave what I was about to say where it is. But Eric Crown is the guy who like inspired a lot of the things that I've done as a YouTuber. Geez, man. And Sheldon from Crypto Banter. Not. I'm gonna leave that alone as well. But Sheldon specifically from Crypto Banter really like his thought process, like how he looks at charts. Eric Crown is phenomenal. He's a little more advanced. Crown's Crypto Crave. I've been watching him since he was on Elio Trades. He's also phenomenal. If you look at his thumbnails and you go look at my thumbnails for like a month ago, I took a lot of inspiration from the guy. Don't know how I forgot about him. Shout out to you. Shout out to him, obviously. Money ZG is another good one as well. I saw a funny comment that I just want to look at the camera and just like, Anyway, okay. I get most of my news from Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump, sometimes Dan Bongino. And Barron Trump will give me some news. The fact that they give you news directly is freaking awesome, dude. While these guys have a ton of subs, how has YouTube never suggested them crazy? Blame the lizard people. Alrighty. Any more questions? Feel free to send them through. We're going to wrap this bad boy up in like 5 minutes. Keep them coming if there's anything that you have. I'm trying to see if I missed any questions. Okay. I guess my frame of thinking was if I sell a small amount of my XRP in green and then use that profit to buy back in when it dips, then I'll be further ahead than I was before. Well, of course, because you got to think about it, right? I don't think you should do this, by the way. Like, I'm not really a huge advocate for take profit, buy back in, take profit, buy back in. You're just kind of setting yourself up for failure, unless you're doing it strategically. But you got to think about it, right? If you sold one XRP for $100, then you bought one XRP for $80. That means you still have $20 left over from what you sold, and now you also have one XRP. So now you have one XRP plus $20, right? Or now you can just go back in and put that $100 back in, and now you have 1.2 XRP or something like that. I'm not the best guy at math. Yeah. Anyway. Crypto Zombie. Lark Davis is pretty sweet. Investing Bros. Shout out to TA Tim, my guy. I like AI 16s. Cade, have you looked at AI 16s or no?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's like obviously it's got like a ton of the mind share going on. I don't think so as much anymore, but it's still definitely like it's pretty interesting. I am very like AI16Z is kind of the one that I am very like this is the type of thing that kind of sparks my excitement for just crypto AI agents in general. Like think about we talk about like MEV and like institutions right now. Imagine when you have people who are literally injected directly into like the crypto space. Like the amount of like arbitrage, like immediate arbitraging is going to be ridiculous. So I'm very interested to see kind of how some of these AI like investment bots or whatever do. I think it'll be pretty cool.
Mm. You have any Ondo? I know it's a bit of a pivot, but I just started kind of building up a little bitty bag of Ondo recently. Curious if you've been looking at it or not. It kind of just sits. It scratches my brain the right way. I don't know why.
Yeah, I like Ondo. I mainly don't buy Ondo because I'm salty.
Why?
Because so the RWA as a whole, I love, and I think RWA will 100% be a $1 trillion market. I'm just mad because so much of everything that's going on in RWA is plagued with institutions and VCs. That kind of pisses me off a little bit because this is crypto.
Yeah.
So like all of the best projects, in my opinion, are VC slash institution backed, and they're not going to come out shy of several hundred million or even $1 billion market caps, which means they've made all the money, which is we're back to where we started.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm salty about just Ondo and RWA generally.
That's valid. That's valid. This is also true. This is also the reason I ignored it for a while. It's like, hey, go check out AI 16s, and I just see like what I saw, and I was like, nah, I'm not buying that.
Fair.
What
Yeah.
RWA coin are you the most bullish on? Probably Ondo.
Yeah, Ondo's good. Proppy's one that I've heard of as well. That I actually had Proppy for a little while, and then I got out of that one. But yeah,
Got you. All right, a couple more guys, and we're gonna get off. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Do you think Dogecoin hit $2? It can, but I doubt it. Yes, I am still suspended. Somebody tell Daddy Elon I'll give him kissy kiss if he lets me back on. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I was just trying to ask Grok a question and I got suspended.
what type of questions, Tyler?
What is Elon Musk's social security number? What does that have to do with anything? Not jokes. Trading bots. You get any of the trading bot scene? I don't. I think it's all friggin' nonsense. But I know it's not. But it's not my world.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of some grid trading bots actually to like pretty decent success. I was actually grid trading Ethereum, kind of bad because that's when Ethereum kind of became like a stable coin.
Can you simplify grid trading for them real quick?
What was that?
Can you simplify grid trading for them real quick?
Yeah. So grid trading is essentially you start a position and you're essentially like this point in time you hold 50% USDT, USDC, whatever, and then 50% X, whatever, it could be Solana, could be Bitcoin, could be Ethereum, could be whatever. So basically what you're hoping for with grid trading is you can do it a couple different ways. You can do long trading, you can do short trading. Long trading, basically you only sell, like you would essentially buy 100% and you only sell as it goes up. You can do short trading, which is you hold 100% cash and you only buy as it go down. I do kind of like the one where you're sitting in the middle, and effectively what you're hoping for with grid trading, like in the best case scenario, let's say you have an asset that's at $100. You start at $100 with 50% and 50%. Let's say you put the bottom band at 90 and you put the top band at 110. Really what you're hoping for is you're looking for immediately up to 110, immediately down to 90, immediately up to 110, immediately down to 90. Because essentially what you're doing is on the way up, you're selling. On the way down, you're buying, selling, and then, back and forth all the way.
Cool.
Obviously, the most efficient, if you could actually do that, the most efficient way would be buy 100% here, sell 100%, or sell 100% here, buy 100% there. But obviously, you never know for sure, which is why with grid trading, you put multiple different orders at multiple different levels, and it allows you to essentially, you're capitalizing on the volatility more than anything else.
Okay. Nice. Shout out to Jose Aguilar. Comes in, said, "Hey, by the way, next live we need to see the wedding pics. Us old guys like that stuff. I'm 33 with 2 boys, and at my age, we like to see people starting their lives." Shout out to you, Jose. That was a wholesome comment. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got a lot of pics coming out soon. I got pics of Kate too. Let's see.
We agreed we'd never share those.
Yeah, well, I'm not a man of my word. Okay, do you do any spot buy soon or let the bull run out and take profit on your coin? Yeah, if it dips, I'll buy. No problem. Simple as. If it goes down, we see a 5-10% red day, I'll buy. Not huge purchases. Man, have I been diversifying. I've really started building up my stock market position recently. I just was sitting on a lot of cash. I think I had 30% of my net worth in cash at one point, which is just way too much for me. And so I actually ended up putting 20% of my net worth into the, no, not that much, about 15% of my net worth into the stock market in like a month, which is a huge move. But the way I see it is like, stock market is going to drop, what, 22%? I don't care. I'm in crypto, baby. It gets way worse than that here. So if we see the stock market crash, don't care. It is what it is. But yeah, so I will still be doing some smaller purchases, though, in the world of crypto for sure. I am also building a bag of cash. Kate, are you doing that? I'm building a bear market cash bag already. Are you doing that too or no?
Always stacking cash. And yeah, I mean, right now, if I have cash, like small amounts might be going into crypto, but like, I mean, we talked about before the call, I'm potentially buying another property on Friday. So it's like, it's one of those things where I'll always buy real estate when it's available because good deals do not just grow on trees. And then, yeah, but definitely saving up some cash and waiting for some of these more interesting things and also bear market too.
Sure. This is a good one. Last question of the day, or probably, unless I see another one. Base meme coins, more inflows into base. My general thought process is base is almost like a guarantee to base memes are almost like a lock to go up at some point. They're backed by Coinbase. Coinbase is tied to the government. The government is pro crypto. You generally only see the strongest ecosystem survive. So someone may say, well, look at Sui, look at look at some of these other ones. Look at Sui, obviously. Look at Phantom's ecosystem, which is kind of blech. Look at, I'm trying to think of some more. AVAX. Let's look at XRP. Find me meme coins on those ecosystems that did what Brett did. The fact that Brett was capable of doing what it did when it did with the controversy behind it tells me Base has all of the facilities to make it happen, right? It just needs the right gas. It needs that right catalyst. Solana is obviously the place where the meme coins will be jumping for the most of the cycle, obviously. But if you need a second place, Base is a good place to look. I'm very set on that.
I view Base as like, that's where all the Solana haters go. The people who just are like diametrically opposed to Solana, they're probably going to be on Base.
Yeah. All righty. Well, look, everybody, we are an hour and 45 minutes in, and I can only hear this voice coming through these headphones for so long. So I appreciate everybody for joining in. Obviously, this is the second stream of the day. We didn't get a video in today. I'm not going to lie, guys. I had nothing to talk about. I wanted to make a video so bad. I had nothing to talk about today. So took a little bit of time off. I was supposed to be heading to San Francisco tomorrow, but my flight got canceled because it snowed here. So I'm going to be home for another few days. We have a bunch of stuff coming out, in the school, here on the channel, and much more. We have a huge merge for the school coming out soon. I'll be telling you about. We have the indicator releasing soon. I'll have my Twitter releasing soon, so I'll be back shitting all over lizard people. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming up pretty soon here, guys. So I want to continue to get, 1 or 2 live streams a day, 1 video a day, get some tweets out, get some community posts. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. As I mentioned before and earlier, there are those couple things that I do want you to go in and check out really quickly before you leave. Go check out WeX. I will link that down in the description below if you want to get up to $20,000 in bonuses. Check out the school where you can join for as little as $5 a month if you want access to meet Cade and many other coaches. And lastly, and most importantly, don't forget to go follow our guy Cade O'Neill over on YouTube at the Cade O'Neill, where you get a bunch of videos every single day talking about Jasmy, the market, ICP, Bitcoin, Solana, and much more. And if you have been enjoying this, the last thing I need you to do on your way out is smash that dang on like button. It does help a lot. It helps a ton. So if you guys did enjoy, drop that little like, and hopefully in the next stream, I can hang out in the lizard lair. I tried to go in the lizard lair earlier today, and my microphone broke. Now call that shit a coincidence. But 30 minutes later, my Twitter got suspended. Call it a coincidence. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. Anybody, Kate, as per usual, man, thank you so much for joining in into my overall, daily and nightly craziness. I appreciate you jumping in. We're gonna have a bunch of live streams coming on soon. Me and Kate are gonna do more lives together. Crypto Moses, we're bringing him on. Invest with Doc, investing frankly. We have so many guests coming on pretty soon. So make sure you guys go show them love. Go to their comment sections. Go tell Kate that I'm better than him on all of his YouTube videos. And we can't wait to see you all in the next one. See you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.